summary of what was going on during the Extra Life for Kids, Twitch marathon that System Era did, right? There were a couple of leaks, three specifically. One is the snail has a shell of some sort. And in one of the clips that Joe shared, the shell was lying in a forest, like, some lost item or something like that, right? So not super sure what that was about. And there was also a short video clip and animation of the snail eating something, right? So not super sure what that is about either. Maybe you need to feed the snail some resources and you get some goodies in return, right? Um, my idea was that it would be really useful if there would be a snail on every planet, and it sort of like is tuned to the planet, right? And you could feed the snail a resource to get the resources that you need to open the core at the planet, right? That would tie in really nicely with the entire, game history, with the storyline, with the meta of the game. Not sure if this is what System Era is going for, but I feel that would be a useful use of the snail, right? So that was number one. Number two, um, the there is uh, uh, there's a new suit, right? That has sort of like a frosted look to it. The suit that was shown was um, a blue suit, and it had like icing, frosting, like a frosted icing look on it, like a windshield in the winter, that gets frosted over. Um, I guess there's more because number three, there was a cartoon picture of the Astroneer looking at the sandstorm. So not sure what if that means that sandstorms are coming back. That would be cool. I like that, right? I like a little bit more danger, a little bit more excitement in the game, but not sure if from the cartoon picture it was not really all that obvious what System Era is going for. And at the very end, today afternoon, early afternoon, I think around like 1 p.m. Pacific time, right? Because System Era is in Washington State, right? I believe. So this is when they ended the 24-hour Extra Life for Kids, Twitch marathon. Joe showed a couple of very rough, just developer animations of a monorail train of some sort, right? So there was sort of like a train line, like a single rail that was used, right? And then sort of like a tractor device, sitting on that rail with the Astroneer being in a rover seat, and there was some kind of thruster, right, that the developers used to sort of get the animation. But the monorail allowed you to travel from, let's say, the surface down to the core, let's say, right? That was sort of like, one of the capabilities that was visible, right? So not counting the suit, right, which looks really cool. I like that frosted effect, right? So hopefully we'll see that during the winter event, right? Um, there was three reveals, right? Again, summary is the snail has some kind of house, right? Like a snail shell, and there is some kind of feeding process of the snail, right? The second one is storms of some sort. What the cartoon picture showed was a sandstorm, just like a brown cloud, right? But again, it was a hand drawn picture. Nothing is really clear of how this will be in the game. And then a monorail with some kind of vehicle riding on the monorail, and the vehicle was able to go upside down as well, right? So you can just lay the rail to wherever you want it to go, and then you can ride on that rail. Really, honestly, the monorail is, while a lot of people were asking for a rail system, right? I think there is what the player community envisions, and then there is how System Era takes the idea and implements that idea, right? Those might be two different things. Like for example, the space snail, um, I believe a lot of people kind of envisioned it as a, very large tardigrade that is just fun to watch, but there is no interaction, or there's nothing useful with it. It is just, it's slow, right? Maybe it would hurt you, possibly kill you, but because it's a snail, right, you can easily run away from it. So I think this is what the player community sort of envisioned, right? Also with the sandstorms, right? Um, Not sure how System AI is going to implement that, right? From that one picture, it was mostly obscuring the vision, it looked like it, right? You couldn't see the terrain past it. But I think what the player community would like to see is that sandstorms have to be avoided because there is a risk of dying in the sandstorm, and you sort of need to work around it, right? Maybe be in a rover or something else, right? So and again with the railroad system, right? I think the player community is more envisioning that as a transportation for resources, right? Not necessarily as transportation for the Astroneer. So the vehicle that we saw was a relatively small vehicle that was riding on that monorail, right? Again, that might not be what the player community wanted, right? So I highly suggest for the system era team to really go and interact with the player community and try to build a better understanding, a clearer picture of what the player community is really looking for. Otherwise, there may be like a partial miss again, right? We saw that with the hoverboard, that about half of the people are not that excited about the hoverboard, right? And having sort of like a forum with your player community, right? Of course, not maybe with tens of thousands of people, but maybe you select like 10 or 20, and you talk to them, right? And hopefully they are representative, right, of the player base, sufficiently representative, so that their opinion captures some of the feedback that they get from the other players that they interact with, right? So that is in a nutshell my observation about the um, Extra Life for Kids Twitch marathon. And now let's get to my game.